Hi friends, welcome to the Shiits and Gigs podcast where we keep the vibe high, the humor gets raunchy, and things get spicy when we talk about food. I'm your host, Meg Davis. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're here because you like to get weird, you like to learn about some cool shit, and you're committed to living your best life. YOLO! I am here to lean into my natural curiosity around why the frick we're here and what makes us special. I am honored to witness so much talent and experience with each guest that I have on my channel. Each guest is invited on because of a simple conversation, a simple connection. I just find it so intriguing that we all live the same 24 hours and yet everyone's human experience is completely different. So if you're into thinking bigger and leaning into people's natural passions and gifts, you're in the right place. Yay! So glad you're here. Thanks for tuning in. Hi friends, I'm here tonight with Becky Weichman, and she is a local fitness instructor that, in my opinion, is revolutionizing your relationship with your body and fitness through the creative and unique ways that she builds her class structure. She is teaching at the Body by K Scotty Gym, and then you're also at
Sweatshop Fitness on Sandy Bottom Road in Coventry.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So local, very local.
Yeah, very local for both of those. Mm-hmm. So if you're in love with whatever you hear tonight and you want to take one of our classes, that's where you can take them. But if healing your relationship with exercise and discovering your worth is on your 2025 bingo card this year, this is definitely the episode for you. So we're going to dive into all things fitness. I figured to warm things up a little bit, I'd love to just hear about you. I mean, I took your Body Beats class on Thanksgiving.
Right. Well, and yeah, that was a while ago.
That was a big one. I know. I've been attempting to come back ever since, but it just has not panned out with the whole life shifts going on.
Right.
But that was a huge wake up call for me. It was first probably, I think maybe the second class since I've had Cameron, which he's almost 2 now.
Okay. That
I've been able to plug into, and I just miss being a participant in a group structure because I teach the Pound Fit class every week, which is equally for me as it is for the people that plug in because it's just such a great outlet. But to just be totally mindless and being the participant in a class where you're given the space to challenge yourself and push yourself, but also have that grace where you can modify as needed.
Oh yeah,
is huge.
Freestyle.
Yes, freestyle. I love that. So Body Beats definitely gave me that vibe, and from what I picked up on, it's cardio, kickboxing, and dance for the most part.
Yeah, I think when I started it, it really was an outlet for me to move to music.
Yeah.
Without really being a dancer. It even feels strange to me to think it's dance fitness.
Yeah.
But that's what makes more sense to people that are kind of oh, you're moving to the beat of music. But I never thought of myself as a dancer. I was thinking of my siblings. I have a sister who's a beautiful dancer.
Yeah.
And then I have a brother who's a wonderful musician.
Oh, cool.
And this is kind of me. I love both of those things. I love moving, but I love music the most. But I don't sing. I don't play an instrument. This is kind of my outlet for that.
Yeah.
So I
love fitness. So
yes.
This is a way to just incorporate both those things.
Yes. So when I started, I kept it a lot more basic to an athletic Zumba, because that's the first thing people would ask me. Is this like Zumba? I'm well, it's to music, but it's a lot less shaking everything you got.
Yeah.
So it's burpees and jacks and things like that, and it's evolved to be more of a freestyle kind of dancey thing.
Yeah. You've
done
a beautiful job.
Thank
and you did share also that you choreograph everything yourself.
Yes.
Which is so impressive.
Thanks.
And yeah, I just loved how intentional the moves were and how it was really synced up to the music. You can tell you put a lot of thought into the flow of the class. And because I've been teaching the Pound Fit for 8 years now, and what I love about that too is it's similar. It's very on beat to the transitions in the music. So then it's also kind of a mind trigger of when you're gonna switch your move. So if you're feeling it, it's gonna come to an end soon.
Right.
And it's just such a great release when you involve music.
Yep.
And you're intentionally moving your body, and it's just the loud music's going. It's just that escape, I kind of already mentioned.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. And like you said, it's both for the instructor and for the people that are there too.
Right.
And I try to keep it, it is choreographed. It can be challenging for some people to get the choreography, but I try to keep it basic. The chorus is usually the same.
Yeah.
The verses are usually maybe one side's on your right, one side's on your left. So it's not every 8 count you're changing something.
Right.
And if it's a song you're familiar with, it's even better because you're oh, here comes the chorus. Something's going to change.
Right.
And then as people get used to me and the way that I cue, which I try to give people cues.
Yeah.
I used to obsess about it in the beginning.
Same.
And I've let go of it a little bit because I'm like, you know what? I just want to hear the music. I want them to feel what it is. And it doesn't matter if they're getting all the moves right.
Yeah.
And then I said, just ask questions after. If it's more comfortable for you to know what it is, I get that.
Yeah.
But some people just don't want to do that. I don't want it to be like a stress out for people.
Yes, yeah. I find that too with the Pound Fit. When I was first instructing, I'd be all about all the cues all the time throughout the whole thing. And now I just, for new people anyways, I'll attempt to do like the kickoff moves. And then maybe if there's one like tricky one in there, I'll like highlight it. Yeah. But then it kind of takes away from the experience if you over cue. Yeah. Is what I found anyways.
And people will get used to, like, I do a lot of nonverbal cues, or even if my head is turning towards the right or the left, like that's the direction that we're going. Yeah. And then people that take the class consistently, like that's the kind of language that we get to talk to each other.
Right. Yeah. It's
after
like your
a while.
Own language.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I want them to hear the music. I don't want them to hear my voice, especially over a microphone, because it's so great. It's necessary, but it's grating.
Yes. Yes.
Like, I guess the best thing would just be to put on the music and go. And I've done those classes before when I have a group, which you probably have felt too. If you have people like regulars that come, we just hit play. And that's
it's just so nice.
We don't stop.
For
we just press play. There's not a lot of talking. Yeah. And nothing ever has to be perfect, and they all know that.
Oh yeah, so absolutely.
Just go with it.
The goal is to just keep moving and have a good time.
Yep. Yep.
And what is your background when it comes to fitness? What got you involved? Because I know your family business is like car and auto, so
yeah, it's like an industrial maintenance and things like that. But this whole thing made me think too. It's like, okay, where did this all start? And I think it got back to group fitness in like jazzercise days.
Oh wow, okay.
In the 90s.
Yeah.
I want to say I started doing that when I was like 18.
No way, okay.
And fully had like those bike shorts with the thong leotards on and the scrunchy socks. There's no photographs of me doing that ever, which is crazy to me. So I'm like, oh my God, we used to have all the outfits. Yeah. And I loved that class so much. Yeah. And that's kind of where my love for the group fitness and the music and the outlets. Like, I don't feel like I can dance, but I can. Yeah. Once I learn a rhythm and know a song, it just clicks. Yeah. So I felt like I did a really good job at that. I love that class. And I took that down from Orlando or Central Florida.
Is that where you used to live?
Oh,
cool.
I grew up in
Are you from
Florida.
Orlando?
My parents met in Michigan, grew up in Florida. Nice. I've been here officially for longer than I've lived anywhere else, though. Gotcha. So we were just talking about that the other day.
Okay. Nice.
So I've been here for a while, but I did grow up in Florida. I don't think I've heard of jazzercises up here, but I haven't seen a lot. It wasn't a big thing. No. And it was much bigger back then. Gotcha. So that was my first like love of that kind of format. Yeah. And then I've always moved. Wanted to move my body, loved group fitness. I kind of need a group. I'm not like a solitary workout person. Gotcha. I've become more that way now, but you just grow through different things.
You go through your phases and whatever your mind and body need at that time.
So when I moved here, I went to different gyms. Again, loving the group fitness. I think I went to Gold's. I went to a lot of other, like the gym for women, just bouncing around. Some places closed and I had to move on. Gotcha. Some places I just made the decision to check something out that was different. Yeah. I've also, I used to waitress up until I was like 40. Oh, wow, so okay. I did the business work and then I did that. Gotcha. And then I decided not to do that anymore about 7 years ago. And took on another part-time job, but I missed the physical aspect of being on my feet. Yeah. And I'm like, I got to do something. So I felt like I had to ramp up the fitness, and that coincided with me starting teaching my own class.
Cool. So did you end up getting certified, or did you just build this from the ground up?
I built it. I got certified in group fitness just to be able to teach some kind of dance fitness class. Nice. And I had 4 songs when I started. Nice. That I just used to do in my basement. Yeah. No intention of teaching a class.
Humble beginnings. We're at my kitchen table. I get it.
Yeah. And it was down in my basement, and I was like, okay, I'll do some weight training. And then the cardio portion of it was never like my favorite thing.
Yeah, same.
So I go, okay, if I just give myself this 3-minute song to do this and make it fun and dancey, and or like a challenge, which Selena, people that take my class know about Selena. We do her every class as a challenge. That was something that I was like, okay, if I just do plank jacks for this almost entire song, then I can say that it's, it helps me get through it.
Right, yeah.
And Body Beats really started because Heidi at Sweatshop gave me the kind of push to, she goes, have you ever thought about instructing?
Yeah.
And I think at that point I was like, I don't know, but I really did. I really had thought about it.
Yeah, you're like,
kind of a lot.
Pondered this quite a bit.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
You know? And then she really allowed me to use the space to grow and build it to be what it was with just a simple group certification.
Nice. That's awesome.
Putting together choreography. Yeah. I mean, I was like, okay, well, now I have to flesh out a class. And then I would just build and build and build and build.
That's amazing. Well, cheers to Heidi for giving you that opportunity. Yeah. Because you are truly talented at what you're doing.
Thank you.
So I'm so glad that you've been able to cultivate what you've been able to, because there is just so much research and studies that stand behind just music and movement are like so healing.
Yes.
And especially when it comes to anxiety and depression. And it was funny, one of the other podcasters that I actually love, the Angie Lee Show, shout out to her. She's amazing. If you're also into just healthy living and a bunch of like silliness, she's definitely a great show to plug into.
Nice.
But she started taking a hip hop dance class when she was like going through it with some life stuff she was navigating, and it's like changed her life.
Okay.
And she had her instructor on, and similar to you, kind of like humble beginnings, was just doing it for herself, and then she's built like this empire in Texas now where she does this like adult hip hop class, but it also has mentality components, which we're going to kind of toe dip in with like your Rev class that you're launching out. And it's just, they were talking about how it's so funny because if you put on music around a baby or a young child, they just like start dancing. But then like, when do you lose that? It's just, you go through like your schooling and like you have your school dances and stuff, and then once you're out of school and like you're thrown into the adult world, there's really no opportunity to like take a dance break.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of that nice opportunity to just like gift yourself that chance to dance again, whether it be in your kitchen and like you just take this away, like you take away from this podcast, like I'm gonna do some squats to some music while I'm making my pasta, or just like whatever you need to do to just intentionally move your body.
Yep.
But music is such a great motivator to get moving, which is so nice.
This makes me think of, my mom asked me for a playlist for her birthday one year, like, or multiple playlists that she can either kind of quickly jog to or walk to.
I love that.
And I put together songs on, I think I burned them to CD. That's how long ago this was. Or maybe it was on an iPod.
Comment if you don't know what a CD is.
I know. I think I was burning CDs. Yeah. But I also remember being in my office listening to the music as I put it down and just kind of walking around to the beat. Like, what does she like to listen to? What makes her want to move? And then at what pace could I put it together for her? Yeah. The tying the music to the movement is really important. It made me think about like some of your notes you've given is that there's so many parts of the body that are like your heartbeat or your eardrums. Right. That are like tied to musical things.
It's all so interconnected, and it's so interesting to think about when you just think of that stuff. Yeah. Like we're just surrounded by sound of music, and I don't know, it's just innate almost to dance.
I feel like a lot of people suppress it too. Yes. Like, because if you're out there, like, what if people think that it looks silly, or what if I'm not doing the right dance move? And then, you know, the grocery store, it might be out of place. Right. Even though if I saw someone jiving in the grocery store, I'd be like, yes, go. Yeah. So I think Body Beats and dance group fitness is so great for that, because it's an absolute outlet. Oh yeah. For that, and making people feel comfortable. It's like, okay, now we can really kind of
now we can let loose and attempt to twerk.
You might want to as you're walking around. You're like, oh no, I'm not going to do it here.
Yeah. But it's definitely highly recommended to break it down when you can. And so you've been an instructor for quite a few years now, right?
7 years.
7 years. It's actually around the same as me. I've done the Pound Face either 7 or 8 this year, but it's just, I've just hung on to it, even though like different phases of my life maybe could have allowed me to let it go. Like even this phase is kind of chaotic because I'm working till 5, the class starts at 6:30, so it's like a sprint to get home, drop the baby off and get there, but I was just so committed to keeping it in my schedule because of how much it just does for my mind and body.
I don't know what I would do without doing my class.
I just couldn't do it. But I did want to drop some facts because I did do some superficial research on music and movement, but benefits for children participating, it helps participating in groups with kids, so you can get like a group dance session going. It increases their socialization skills, express emotions, refine listening skills, because they're like trying to maybe learn a certain dance that has like different motions that they're following and stuff. increases awareness of body, which I think body beats is a huge component of that, especially when you break out like the twerk moves and stuff where you feel things moving that like you typically wouldn't want to embrace, like the jiggle or the whatever fold you feel. I am a huge believer in doing anything that allows you to just be more comfortable in your own skin, and I think movement is a great way to embrace that, along with taking like bubble baths or just like being with yourself in the shower and just like being aware, you know. So I thought that was really cool, just from a children's perspective, that this already kind of bringing awareness of their body, but maybe for a kid it's more like functioning, like learning how to use their body.
Yeah, connection, literal connection.
Yeah, literally making the brain synapses grow for how to move everything. And then increased creativity, but I mean, I feel like it's pretty typical to see kids dancing. But when it came to adults, it was proven to decrease stress and anxiety. It helped with large motor skills. So even I'm thinking when I read that, post-stroke potentially, or any like traumatic brain injuries, dance or music could be a huge accessible outlet for people. Or as you're aging, it's great to just keep moving. I think most of your classes are very accessible to the older crowd because of the availability of modification.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anybody, you can modify anything.
Yeah.
And balance is super important too,
So
especially
important.
as you age.
Yeah.
And with dance fitness, you're pushing yourself off of your like main axis in all directions.
Yeah.
So you can't help but use your core to balance yourself.
Exactly.
And balance is something that I hear a lot of people say they just don't have it.
Yeah.
And I go, but it's something that you can cultivate that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But it's a struggle, and it's off-putting to kind of feel off kilter, literally.
Right. Yeah.
But if you practice balance, it's super important to so many things.
Yeah.
Aging, especially.
Right. So important. And then a couple other things that came up were increased cognitive function, which I mean, it kind of, I guess, would initiate like that creativity zone again for adults. But also just mindfulness, I think, when it comes to cognition and stuff like that. But for like the body beats or the pound fit or whatever dance class, it's also helping your memory coordination because I don't know about you, but I don't typically switch up the class too much, just so the people that come in frequently can get comfortable and can then push their form.
Yeah.
Which I think I noticed you do too. You definitely switch things up a little more than I do because you're there more often too. So if you have your regulars, you want them to stay excited.
I try to keep it for like 1 week. Typically, like a Tuesday and Thursday I'll match at one spot, and then a Wednesday and Saturday I'll match at the other spot, and then I'll start changing it the next week.
Nice.
Unless there's requests, I would say if there's requests, because there's nothing better than having anyone in a class. Like if people want to request every day, like that it makes me so happy to know what their favorite routines are. So I will always trump requests on top of anything.
I love that, and it's so cool that you can just do it on the fly. Go you.
Yeah.
Talk about memory. I don't know if I could do that. But I mean, it probably does help that you're cultivating it yourself too. With the pound fit, it's all like it's like a corporate structure. So then you're learning like this is what I actually look at this thing. How do I do this?
That I think it
looks
does.
like a piece of sheet music.
Yeah.
It's very cool how they do it, but I end up honestly just replaying the training video, and I'll write notes into like what the song is saying for the transitions, because the music is what it comes down to for me. Yeah. It's like all about the music, hearing those transitions, and then obviously I have to learn the moves, but I feel like the root of the learning is like all rooted in listening to the actual song. It's
ingrained in you when you do make it, and when it comes out of you, and it'll be muscle memory too. Like sometimes I can't cue because I literally forget until that beat hits. Exactly. And then my body picks back up. Right. And I can't tell you how many times I've choreographed something by just standing still and like closing my eyes and I go, what does my body want to do right here? Yeah. And I've just busted out something and it's all right, that'll work. Yeah. And huge tip for other group instructors, you are the only one that knows the choreography for the most part, unless you have your regulars. So if you mess up, don't sweat it. Just front row girlies save my ass on regular.
Same.
I think it happened tonight. I was like, oh, thank you.
Yep. Yeah, that's happened quite a few times myself. But let's dive into more of your stuff that you got going on, because I don't want people to lose interest before we dive into the good stuff. Okay. Do you have anything else you wanted to share about Body Beats as far as that structure goes?
No, I think that pretty much covers it.
I feel like you dove in quite a bit on that. If you want to do Body Beats, want to shout out your schedule for that again?
Schedule for Body Beats, I do 4 classes a week locally in Coventry at Sweatshop Fitness, 4:30 on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that's a 45-minute class. And then I'm at Body by Kay Scotty on Wednesday evenings at 7 o'clock and Saturday mornings at 8 a.m.
Yes, I am committed to getting there this Saturday. It's finally a free Saturday.
I'm actually really, I wanted that class time so bad because what a great way to kickstart my weekend.
Yeah.
And because I've always taught evening Body Beats classes.
Right.
But getting up and dancing first thing in the morning.
So nice.
Is so much fun.
So much fun. And I love that you picked the 8 o'clock slot because I feel like 8 o'clock is just enough for your typical person to sleep in. I wake up at 4:30 typically. So even being at 8, it still allows me to sleep in a little bit. And then I'm home before lunch, which I love because then you still have so much of your day left.
Your day is your whole weekend's ahead of you.
Yeah, your whole weekend. Just rip it off like a Band-Aid on 8 a.m. at Body by Kay Scotty. And then definitely stop by Elevated after to fuel up, or you can get your tea beforehand to rev up for the class.
During.
Yes, all of it. Pre-post, during.
Yeah, all of it.
But speaking of Rev, you are going to be launching this brandy new class this Friday for the first time at Body by Kay Scotty Gym. It is already sold out, but you can always follow the gym and Becky's Instagram. Actually, do you want to shout out your handle? It's Beckaroo, right?
It's Beckaroo1016.
Yeah, on Instagram.
Which is the one it's kind of going back and forth. I'm learning the Instagram.
Okay.
I'm learning to use it more.
Gotcha.
So
it's a great funnel.
I have the personal Beckaroo1016. I also created a Body Beats one, but managing both of them is kind of where does it go? So I kind of
tell me, yeah.
and now that I went to Body by Kay Scotty too, a lot of people have started following me at the Beckaroo1016.
Oh, good.
So I'm just leave it. Just leave it.
Honestly, it's probably your best bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so hard to manage more than one. I attempted to do that for a couple other business ventures, and it's just a lot.
Yeah. I tag them back and forth sometimes.
Nice.
But if anyone wants to message me at that point, I'm I just keep it on the Beckaroo1016.
Yeah. All right, Beckaroo1016 on Instagram if you want to stay in the loop on everything. But let's dive into REV, which stands for Reach, Elevate, and Validate. And you were breaking this down for me just briefly as we were, one of our random conversations, and I was just so excited. And that's also why I invited you on tonight, because I, again, just think you are helping local women primarily, right? Are you pretty much women-based, or?
In the gyms that I'm at, yes. Yes.
You're just helping women revolutionize that relationship with their body, helping them recognize their worth and what they're capable of through these very, I don't want to say basic classes, but these classes that are embracing basic movement and just intentional movement. And so it's a hard-ass class, but again, there's that grace for you to modify and take it at your own pace and just allow yourself to show up a little differently every time you plug in. Right. But I'm so curious to see what you have going on with this new REV class.
Yeah.
So let's dive into it. Where did it come from?
REV came from, it's kind of taking Body Beats to the next level, but in a way simplifying the moves and really focusing on a theme with the music. Because I've done themes in Body Beats before. It's okay, let's have a rock class. So let's have tonight I did a low impact set just because there was some low impact things. You can work on certain body parts, but it's never really been just about the music itself. Okay. I was also inspired by someone that I follow named Jamie Kincaid, who's based in Springfield, Missouri. Okay. I visited her studio over the summer with my good friend Amy to physically be there and be further inspired by her. Okay, so you'd already discovered her, decided to go visit? Yes, that was a COVID inspiration, and I've been following her for years. She's amazing. Go check her out. Yeah, definitely. You'll have to send me that tag. I'll put it in the description. Yeah, she encouraged me to do new things, and taught me a lot, inspired me to do classes like this that are really introspective. Yeah. And it's somewhat based upon when I take my Body Beats to the next level. Some of my Body Beats routines fit in this class in a way, so there are multiple levels to it. Okay. The very first one we're doing is a theme of perseverance. Okay. And I think this one will stick around because it really does talk about what the class is about, is just getting to a struggle point and pushing past it. Yeah, I love that. Rev really kind of came from, Rev came from a lot of the people that take my circuit at my home that I also host that have been following me for a while. They named it because I couldn't get it out of my head. What am I going to call this thing? Yeah. And it started, one of the girls says, how about start your engines? And I was like, okay, how about like rev your engines?
Yeah.
And I thought, how about just rev? And then another one of the ladies randomly texted me and said, reach, elevate, validate.
Yeah. Oh, I love that it was a group effort.
It all came from them.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, it makes so much sense because you're reaching because you're reaching farther than you have before. Mm-hmm. You're elevating just because you are reaching.
Yeah, past that threshold.
Yeah. And then the validation part comes from just everyone wants to feel like they are valid. And also I think that talks about the music aspect of it. Like, what does this song mean to you?
Yeah.
What does it mean to me? Why did I put it on this playlist?
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot more talking in the class too.
I love that.
More than regular.
Yeah.
It's mostly dance.
Yeah.
But I do like to explain, why I chose a certain song, why it's in here, what it makes me think of, how does it unite all of us together.
Right.
So perseverance is really recognizing the struggle, pushing past it, knowing that you can do hard things. I love the word capable.
Yeah.
Just recognizing how capable you really are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like working with people that have been surprised by their strength. I see it all the time in all the gyms or at the circuit at my house where people are like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that.
Honestly, now that you're saying that, I feel like that is what Thanksgiving did for me. Because, this past year, year one, postpartum, I was kind of just doing whatever, whenever I could, but I never really had a solid routine. And then entering 2024, I was like, I need to do something for myself, something regular that's going to breed consistency, because I knew routine, I just thrive on routine and consistency. But I had just been doing this like 10-15 minute morning routine that was focused around like hip and core strength and mobility. And then I started doing push-ups as a challenge aspect. And then I ended up adding in at like the tail end of the year a headstand for that like mental release component, but also strengthening, because it does require a lot of like strength and focus. But outside of that, like I was just like, I did that every day and I felt good about it. It was like not a broken promise. It was a promise that I just followed through with for myself. But when I plugged into your class, I was like, wow, like I forgot I'm capable of these like next level moves and like pushing myself to this next level degree. And just so, because I was, not that I'm comfortable with my morning routine, because those push-ups I swear never get easier.
No, that's tough.
And the headstands are like a fun challenge, but going to a group class like that where you're also surrounded by other women and being supported in that like discomfort is like you really recognize what you're capable of. Yeah. And I think it's really cool that you're like now putting this as a forward focus in this new class.
Yes, that's really what it is get to that point. And some of it's one move for the most part per song.
Okay.
So
that's different.
It takes the choreography out of a lot of it.
Yeah.
Which some people can be intimidated by. But it's also, I want it to be like the toughest class that you take, basically, because you're revving up your engines. Like you're already driving. Yeah. You're already driving down the road. We're just going to rev it up a notch. Yeah. By doing, it sounds crazy, but like 4 minutes of jumping jacks. Yeah. Or, warm up is burpees. Yeah. But it's not all cardio either. Yeah. We do balance, intentional movement. I love some of sometimes the lyrics really speak to how we're going to move our body.
Cool. Yeah.
And then that connects with people. Yep. We also do, I love a plank challenge. I've been doing a plank challenge for like 3 years. Oh, wow. It's a Facebook group where we've worked up to doing 5-minute planks.
No way. You do it every day?
Once a month.
Oh, once
a month? Not every day.
Okay, I was like, whoa.
Once a month we work up to 5, but I do a calendar of daily core exercises or planks. And the 3 or 3.5 we do at least twice a week. Wow. That's become the norm for a lot of people.
I love that.
In this group.
That's hard.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
Because you don't have to do a 5-minute to like get that 5 minute.
Right. Yeah.
You just have to practice for it and then realize it's going to get hard. Yes. And then just dig in and push through it.
Right. And that's, speaking to that, I had ended up doing a race, the Pell Bridge Run, this past year.
Oh, really?
Highly recommend. Yeah. It is such a cool race. You have to wake up at like the ass crack of dawn, but it's because they shut down the bridge, so they do it early. Yeah. So I believe you jog over starting at 7 a.m. But it's so cool because the sun rises as you're going over. So it's just, if you can catch a sunny day, it's really nice. The first time I did it, it was raining and miserable, so I almost did not do it again. But however many years later, one of the guys that I ran it with had reached out and wanted to do it. But regardless, I was kind of in that phase where I had started my morning routine And luckily it was a nice part of the year, and I had just started my weekly push, is what I called it.
Okay.
So once a week I would just do like a walk jog interval, like I go to the bike path down there or whatever. And I was just kind of doing that for myself. And then when he brought that up, I was like, okay, well now, like, I don't have the time or the space to maybe jog that, I think it was 4 miles once a week or however frequent I would like, but maybe I can practice half that. Okay. And just know, again, like, that it's going to get hard, and, like, it's a mental component at that point. But if I can train my body to do half at a walk jog interval, because I was also doing it with the stroller at the time. Like, I was not independently
and probably
running.
Not on an incline that you were going to do it on.
No.
Either.
Yeah. So what I do walk jog, and then there's a cemetery over here that's on, like, a pretty steep hill, and I would just jog up as far as I could. And then at one point, it's too steep.
West Street.
Yes. Exactly. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
It's so steep. I'm just pushing the carriage at that point. But I was like, you know what? If I can do this, like, I would hope without the carriage, I would be able to just commit to jogging the whole time and focus on breath work and like the movement of my body, and also just like push those extra couple miles basically. And I was able to do that. So it speaks to, again, like, you don't need to, I don't know,
go all out all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
You just have to recognize it. That's it.
Yeah.
I used to put in, I'm like, oh, we got to practice 4 minutes at some point. I'm like, no, we don't.
Yeah.
It's fine. We get there. We do our 5 minutes when we can.
Yeah.
And it's just, you have to get past that struggle. And it's important to me too, or it makes it easier when there's music involved.
Yeah, for sure.
Because how many songs are just verse, chorus, and you use that last one, it might be like that beat drop that gets you through. I'm going to forget, we were doing it at Jamie's studio. It was Summertime Sadness was the song, and it got to the end, and we were doing jumping jacks for like 4 or 5 minutes. I don't know what it was. And my hands were fists at the end because I was so determined. I was just like pulling them down to my side. I'm like, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And you get to the end, you're like, oh my God.
I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's more breaks in between, like, these songs, and you take a break, and then you discuss, like, you know, not what it felt like or anything. We're not getting into that, but it's like, okay, do a little break in between songs, preface the next one, you know, anecdotes about, you know, what the song means, or something that, like a memory.
Yeah.
I also think about things you can put into your daily life, taking what you learn in class and putting it in daily life by doing those struggles. And it makes me think of doing the Tough Mudder with my husband one time.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I don't know if you go through like the Arctic enema, which is the ice bath in the dumpster.
What?
Yeah, you jump in a dumpster with ice.
Oh my God.
And that was like one of my most dreaded things. But I can't tell you how many times I've been pumping gas in the freezing cold.
Yeah.
And just been like, I did that.
Yeah. Exactly.
I can stand here and fill this tank and not stop at 3/4 because I'm freezing.
Yeah.
And I've called upon that moment so many times when I'm in an uncomfortable situation.
Right.
I was like, okay, I did that.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it always goes back to that. It's usually because it's cold.
Yeah.
Something has to do with cold. It just
triggers, yeah. Jess actually had convinced myself and a handful of other friends to do the Spartan race.
Okay.
She was going for the trifecta, so the Beast was like her last one, but that was my first one because she just enrolled me to do it. Mm-hmm. I'll never forget that day. Actually, I chose to forget most of it because it was so terrible. I ended up getting like a head cold the day before, but it's you experience these things that you choose to do that you know are going to be hard, and then once you do it, it's again just like that validation. You recognize that capability, and then when you're faced with something similar or maybe like a little bit harder, you have that validation, like you've already been through that one thing. So you can do this. Validation.
Or revelation is another word that comes. It's from Rev. It's like you can have this revelation that I'm so much stronger than I gave myself credit for.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, when you see that resistance and recognize it and push through it, you can't help but grow.
Right.
And it changes and like sharpens your perspective about what's going on.
Exactly.
Outside of the classroom.
Right.
You know?
And I love what you're doing with the mental space in this class, because I feel like a lot of people plug into fitness, they kind of like clock in, clock out. Like they're just putting in the minutes or the hours to work out, but they're totally missing the mindset portion that exercise provides. And so what are some of the mindset portions or like aspects that you're really trying to drive home outside of, I know you already mentioned each song has a meaning, right?
Like perseverance. Well, I have lots of themes. thinking about this class for a while.
Yeah.
And so I listened to music and I started building playlists. I'm like, okay, what song? You can almost turn any song you hear into some kind of playlist.
Absolutely.
I mean, it can all be about twerking. It can be
Yeah.
just be like, okay, this is the mood I'm in today.
Yeah.
It doesn't all have to be serious either. Like Perseverance, and I think my runner-up to this one, I might do Perseverance a couple times.
Yeah.
The next one that I really love that I've mostly fleshed out is Only Human. It's just being a human person.
Yeah, right.
And the human experience and being on the planet.
I love that you just said human experience. I say that all the time. Every moment is a choice, people. What kind of experience do you want to have?
So I cultivated all these lists of some serious, some fun. A song came on, like, that's somebody's name the other day, and I go, how about a whole playlist of people's names?
Oh, yeah.
Or there's grief, loss, and remembrance.
Yes, that's a big one.
Forgiving and forgetting. There's trying something even though you might fail. Happiness, music in general, or dance in general. These are all themes that I've kind of plugged into and just been popping songs onto.
Yeah, I love that.
And so the themes will change, but the feeling of the class where you're going to get to that struggle point where it's going to be intense, where you really are revving up what fitness level you're at, is going to stay the same.
Okay.
So it might be happy fun time, or we're just doing songs about names, that we're still going to be working really, really hard.
Yeah,
and
I love that.
And still talking about, you know, little things, you know, why we chose this. Obviously the name would be a little easier.
Yeah. No, but I love that you are also just always thinking about these new ways that you can impact people plugging into your class. And I think that, again, is something that makes you stand out of the crowd when it comes to group instructors, because you can tell that you're so intentional and so passionate about what your people are taking away from the class, not just your hope isn't that they're just there clocking in and clocking out. You want them to be there and be present and actually get mind, body, spirit, that full connection out of your class.
It really is. Jamie introduced me to the phrase of it, collective joy.
Yeah, I love that.
Like when you're in a space together with people and you're doing something similar, it doesn't even have to be, like, music is something that ties people together too. Yeah. Think of concerts that you're at that are, like, everyone's there to see someone that they love, and you feel that, like, collective joy of, like, the physical beats of hearing, like, it pounding in your chest and just being surrounded by all those people.
Yeah, collective joy. I haven't heard that before.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's great. It's a huge, even in, like, in big, large gatherings of people, which is another human experience. Yeah, you know. And I tell people in my class all the time, especially the new ones at K. Scotty, I was like, I want your sorest muscle to be like your cheeks. Yeah, because you've been smiling so much because you're having fun. You know, maybe it's because they're laughing at me.
No, definitely not.
Well, not at, but with. You know, because I like to be silly. Yeah, you know, because if I don't take it seriously, then they won't, and that's only on a level of, like, I don't want them to feel like they have to, like, they can't dance and let loose.
Yeah, release that expectation. Yeah, and just, like, the expectation is to just show up for yourself.
Yes, and it's funny how I've learned that it's been such a release for me too, that I'm not like that person that's going to dance at your party. Yeah. Like, a lot of people would think that I would. Yeah. But, like, I'm just a different person in this space. Right. Like, it depends on the space. If you're in a safe, I want people to all walk in and feel, like, safe. They can really just let loose. And don't have to be perfect. Yeah. Well, I definitely think you're crushing it in that department. Thanks.
Anything else you wanted to share about the Rev class? Or?
Just that I know it's going to be popping up, and it's always going to be on Friday nights. Okay. I'm not sure when the next one's going to be. We're going to see how this one goes.
Yes, first class is Friday for her. Class is Friday. It is sold out already. Congrats. Very exciting.
Thank you. I would do it again. I would do it every week if anyone wanted it. Yeah. To be fair, I have a busy schedule anyway, but popping up, I think, in the beginning to get it started, so everyone has a really good understanding. And then start exploring other things. And I love the idea of, too, maybe someone has a song that they want me to go run off on a theme with. Yeah. Or they have a theme that they want me to explore with music. Yeah. So I love that. I'd be totally...
I'll definitely be sending songs your way.
It's collaborative. I've already learned. Somebody the other day, it's this beautiful John Mayer song. Another one of my favorites classes I've almost fleshed out is just time. It's just the concept of time. Yeah. Right. You know, whether it's expansive, how fast it goes, how slow it goes, you know, just there's actually a lot of really good songs that have to do with time.
And I love that these themes are also just like reflection points too for people, which people just don't, our life is so busy, we don't take that intentional time, or most people don't, to just stop and listen and just be present and give yourself time to reflect on the ish that you've been through.
Yeah.
Like, we've all been through a lot.
Yeah.
Even in just the last 5-6 years with COVID and all the things that we've been navigating otherwise, it's just, as a collective, we've gone through a lot, but everyone's life path is so different. And we've all, 9 times out of 10, you've gone through something that has changed the trajectory of how you show up. So if you don't give yourself that time to reflect, you just sit with it and it goes unused, and you kind of just, I feel like, fall in that pattern of just making similar mistakes, or you're just blocking that elevation of your human experience.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Thank you. So you're launching this Friday. We don't have a set class time. We're going to pop up, so definitely follow her as Beckaroo 1016 on Instagram for further things. But now I like to dive into something called perspectives. Okay. So with all my guests, starting the last couple guest episodes, every guest is invited on because of a simple conversation. I just find you all intriguing for some reason, mainly because you're typically leaning into some talent or natural gift that you have. But I love asking these questions just because it digs a little deeper into each person, just to gain new perspectives, because we all have the same 24 hours in every single day, but our life paths are very different, and I just find that very interesting. Yeah. So first things first, what do you feel is your natural born gift, if not instructing? But
I know, right? That's a tough one, but I think that I'd be tempted to say, like, hospitality in a way of just being a host to just about anything. It's really important for me to set the scene for a lot of things. My class, my classes is important for me to make sure that I'm ready, to make sure that people experience a good class, that I'm on time, that I pay attention to detail. Similar in a way, like, I like to entertain, or even thinking back to, like, my server years of, always greeting people. I felt like I did a really good job at that. I liked it in a way. It's like,
you do have that natural essence about you that you're just very welcoming.
Yeah, I like to be
open.
And I like to pay. Nothing is ever perfect. I'm not like a Martha Stewart type thing, but being present for people and trying to do little details. And it does talk about classes where I like to be on time, and I like to be set up for people with the circuit that I host at my house. It ends up being a lot of people sometimes, and I love setting it up and being ready for them.
That's
and
awesome.
having them come in and experience something that they know that it took the time and effort to do it for them.
I love that. So I definitely think that's a natural born gift for you.
I think hospitality, just overall.
Yeah, you definitely are a people person. People gravitate towards you. And is there anything that you've experienced that you felt has shaped the way that you show up every day?
I did think about this from more of like a gym perspective, because I've going back to jazzercise way back in the day.
Right.
Taking little things that I've learned from people. I bring, like, cold cloths, hospitality, I guess. Again, I bring frozen, like, lavender scented cloths to my Body Beats girls.
Oh, yes. That was so lovely.
But I got that from jazzercise.
So cool.
Like, the lady that owned that place had them for every single class, and I was like, what a nice little touch. Obviously it's refreshing,
right?
But I go, what a nice little touch to do that here.
I love that. You definitely go above and beyond, and maybe not one of your niches, or like the way that you show up is like you just are a genuine kind person. Like, you just show up in like your whole self. There's no like sugarcoating you. You just are who you are, and you just show up to be a natural part of what I like to call like that give and take of the universe. Like, like whatever you give, you're gonna get back. Yeah. And not in a selfish way, but you just show up and do your best and try and be your best for those around you. And luckily, or hopefully, you're like reaping those rewards too.
Yes, I do feel that way. Absolutely.
That's awesome. Very cool. And what is your worst fear? If you had to pick one.
I know, right? How do you pick like one worst fear?
Right.
My brain goes to like, okay, what are things that really freak me out?
Yeah.
I'm not the best flyer.
Okay.
And I struggle with heights.
Got it. Is there any like past life experience that made you afraid of those things, or?
I don't think so.
No.
And I've gotten over some height issues too.
Okay.
So, but I really do think it boils down to like what I feel like everybody's worst fear is, like losing loved ones. I'm the oldest in my generation in my family.
Okay.
I'm very close with all my siblings, my parents, obviously my husband and daughter.
Yeah.
But my siblings and my parents were kind of far-flung all over the country.
Gotcha.
My parents are still in Florida.
Okay.
I have a brother down there. I have a brother that lives in like the Seattle area.
Okay.
My sister's closest in Massachusetts.
Nice.
But as close as we are together, as like, I love my family more than just anything.
Yeah.
And you get older and we're not physically close.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish we had more shared experiences on the regular, but we do get together whenever we can.
That's awesome.
And that I think would be the thing that scares me, is like trying to get together as much as we can, and ever losing any of those people that are really special to me.
Yeah, it's definitely, that's what I'm at. That'll probably be one of my worst fears too. It's just like losing them, but also hopefully not having any regrets about lost memories or time or any of that.
Huge too.
Yeah, it's just, you just never know.
Yeah, you don't.
And then I just started doing this. Was there any questions that you've wanted to ask me?
I have lots of questions.
Oh,
because I feel like we've just met, so of course I have a lot of questions, and you're so lovely.
Oh, thank you.
But one that I was like, you know what, and this is I just thought about as I was getting ready to come over here. It's a two-parter.
Okay.
Because I would like to know what's the best concert you've ever been to.
Oh.
And who you would most like to see that you haven't.
Oh, okay. Very interesting. So, I don't know about... Actually, I think best concert was Darius Rucker.
Okay.
Which is kind of like, he's not my go-to guy to listen to by any means now, but I think it was about his performance. Like, he was just all in on the whole performance. It wasn't anything too crazy over the top, but he was like, you could just tell he was really present to be.
Iconic voice, too.
Yes.
My friend
just
Marie
such
loves Darius Rucker.
Yeah, such a good voice. My first ever concert, though, was Usher, which was interesting. And I was in high school, and my godfather got it for me as a gift for graduating.
That's amazing.
And, yeah, but it was hilarious because you were literally, like, backs to the back wall.
Okay.
And you just felt everything vibrating off of
Yes.
you. So we were, like, the end point for
Love
all
that.
It was so funny.
Love it.
But concert I'd want to go to... Mike Studd was actually a person that got me through some really hard times during COVID and stuff, or just like working from home, and he just has like a really cool like transformative vibe going on right now, so he'd probably be my go-to guy.
Okay.
I'll have to send you his album.
Yeah.
He has some good ones.
I'm curious.
Yeah, he's kind of a mix of like rap with like very interesting backbeats. Like the backbeats are just so intriguing. This most recent album that he created, I guess he had like a documentary on YouTube too, but he really embraced his like whole team and like took a lot of their like feedback and perspective. So I feel like it's just like a cool like collaborative vibe, and you can just tell because every new song is like a different experience, I guess you could say.
Oh yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah, so I'll send it to you.
I love
What's your favorite concert?
I think the best one I've ever been to was Muse.
Oh.
And I went to that with my daughter because my brother had seen them in Seattle and encouraged my husband, said, you have to buy her tickets to go see Muse.
Yeah.
I love their music. I wouldn't say they're like my favorite band.
Yeah,
so
I have to look into them. I don't know if I've heard
But it was the most amazingly visual. There were holograms happening.
Oh.
It was in Boston. And
Cool.
they actually released it theatrically.
Really?
Because it was such an event. There were drones flying around inside the arena.
Yeah.
And the fact that I went with my daughter. That was her first concert, actually.
No way.
Which I thought, I was like, you can't go. This is going to ruin you for every other concert because you're going to think they're all like this. It was so over the top.
The level of disappointment she'll experience.
We've gone to see like Sting and Gorillaz, and like she has a very eclectic taste in music too, which I love. I love sharing music with her.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And my very first concert was the Moody Blues with my dad when I was 10.
Oh, wow.
Because that was still is his favorite band.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That started. I love going to concerts.
Yeah.
I love being there, feeling it, and again, it's that collective joy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And music, in general.
Yes, music is life. Any other questions that you had thought of?
No, it was just really those two.
That's so cute. And I guess we'll wrap this thing up. Let's end it with a takeaway. If there is one tip that you could give someone that wants to improve their fitness and strength this year, where's the best place to start, do you think, for these people that are wanting to move, but they kind of have that hesitation and they're just looking for like that first step?
I think the best spot to start is not really the physical place. It's really just in your mind. And being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Which is really difficult to do sometimes because you can make excuses. You can be like, I can't do this. And you're like, really? Can you?
Yeah.
If you start finding yourself lying to yourself about how things are not healthy in your life, then that's trouble.
Right.
That and just showing up and try all the things.
Yeah, try it all.
All of it. Because you never know what's going to click with you.
Exactly.
I used to say that I hate spin, and I don't anymore.
Yeah.
I like it a lot more when I'm in charge of the music.
Yeah, of course.
But I don't hate it anymore.
Yeah.
And so many places will offer like a free trial or a free week or something. And even if they don't, just drop in for a class.
Yeah, just try it once.
Yeah, and give yourself time too. It's there's so many different, because everyone is different.
Right.
Some people like group fitness. Some people like being on their own in the corner. I have some people that have even told me that they don't care for my class. And I'm like, that's fine.
Yeah.
It might not be for everybody.
Right.
And I don't ever want anyone to feel uncomfortable. I take no offense to that.
No, because some things are just not your vibe.
Yeah. You have to find something that you love, no matter what it is. And just checking the variety of things and just show up. Find a buddy if you need to.
Yeah.
And I think it really does start in your brain.
Absolutely. I love that answer. It's totally mental.
It's not a physical place. It's just a reckoning with yourself.
Yes.
Like, what do I need to, whether you want to be there for your kids and be healthier for your kids, whether you want to be able to be independent. It was a big thing for me I want to say maybe even 7 when I first started doing these things and getting into like kickboxing and taekwondo. It was so much more about self-defense and taking care of me.
Yeah, right.
Because the world was a scary place.
Yes,
and
still is.
It is. It still is.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, we have a personal responsibility to kind of do the best we can to take care of ourselves.
Right.
So I'm like, well, let me get stronger at doing this. So that was important to me, to be capable to do things on my own.
Yeah, so find like your bigger why of why you want to get moving, not necessarily just get moving.
Yes.
I love that. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Check out Becky at Sweatshop, right? Sweatshop or the Body by K. Scotty gym locally, and follow her on Instagram. I'll put her tag in the description and everything. But thanks so much for taking the time, and definitely check out Rev and stay in the loop on that, because it sounds like it's going to be an incredible class.
I hope it really takes off.
Yes, me too.